Now, last night, former General Michael Flynn had resigned from the National Security Council amid reports that he had spoken about the sanctions against Russia with the Russian ambassador before the Trump administration had assumed power. Now, Kellyanne Conway is, of course, going to go on today with Matt Lauer and actually talk about the situation. Let's take a look at that.
Yesterday afternoon on MSNBC, you said that Michael Flynn enjoyed the full confidence of the president. Sean Spicer later said the president was evaluating the situation, and then Michael Flynn resigns overnight. Were you out of the loop on this?
No, not at all. Both were true. The president is very loyal. He's a very loyal person, and by night's end, Mike it was best to resign. He knew he'd become a lightning rod, and he made that decision.
So had he not resigned, the president would continue with him as national security advisor, even though he misled the vice president and the administration about the contents of that call?
That fact is what became unsustainable, actually. I think misleading the vice president really was the key here.
So, okay, so what she's saying is, of course, the fact that Flynn lied to Mike Pence, well, that was the reason that he resigned. Because the whole situation, it just became completely unsustainable. Well, that's kind of a fascinating, interpretation of this, considering that the Justice Department ended up telling them weeks ago about that call. Now, if they told the Trump administration weeks ago, well, then Mike Pence would obviously have known. And he would have been lying to Mike Pence for weeks. Now, of course, that's very, very interesting. Now, let's see if Matt Lauer catches on to this.
You're saying that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but the White House knew about that last month when the Justice Department warned the White House that Mr. Flynn or General Flynn had not been completely honest in characterizing that conversation with the Russian ambassador. And they even went further to say that as a result of that dishonesty, he was at risk for blackmailing by the Russians.
Well, that's one characterization, but the fact is that General Flynn continued in that position and was in the presidential daily briefings, was part of the leader calls as recently as yesterday, was there for the Prime Minister's visit from Canada yesterday. And as time wore on, obviously the situation had become unsustainable.
Kellyanne,
and General Flynn...
That makes no sense. Last month, the Justice Department warned the White House that General Flynn had misled them, and that as a result, he was vulnerable to blackmail. And at that moment, he still had the complete trust of the president?
Matt, I'm telling you what the president has said, which is that he's accepted General Flynn's resignation, and he wishes him well, and that we're moving on.
We're moving on. Yeah, you know what? Problem solved. I've accepted the resignation. No need to do anything further. So basically, her entire defense is... You have to be kidding me. No, she didn't address any of that. Just, oh, we're going to move on. Let's go forward. Let's talk about the three great people that we've got lined up to replace General Flynn. Why do they even let her on TV anymore? I don't understand that. I mean, she's just going to keep bullshitting us the whole time. Dodging questions. And actually, I have to give Matt Lauer some credit. He actually did his job. He did follow-up. And he kept pressing her on that, which is actually what I want to see. Now, I want to see the media do that to everybody, not just Kellyanne Conway, but to Donald Trump, to anybody from the Democratic establishment. Or I just want to see people, journalists, actually ask tough questions. And look, at least in this instance, Matt Lauer is actually doing that. That's great. Now, look, what she said, complete load of crap. Basically, she got caught looking like a moron by Matt Lauer, which again, sad. But see, look, it doesn't make sense unless you're living in a completely alternative reality. See, they didn't believe that the Justice Department, report done by Sally Yates. Remember, she came out there and she said, you know, you guys knew about this. We gave you that report months ago or last month that he made this call. So you knew for the longest time, and you didn't believe what we were saying because you don't trust us, you don't like us, doesn't fit into your narrative. So you're just going to ignore these facts. You're going to ignore this data. And look, this is completely consistent with what we've seen from the Trump administration so far. This is an administration that doesn't believe in facts. They don't believe anybody that doesn't follow their narrative. They don't believe in evidence. Again, they have to shield Donald Trump from stuff that might make him upset. This is an administration that does not believe in the facts. And again, right now, this is the result. The facts bit them in the ass, as they've done, of course, so many times to Miss Kellyanne Conway. Another example of alternative facts, alternative reality, brought to you by the Trump administration. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.